Good afternoon. Welcome to today's meeting of the Accessibility Advisory Committee. I'd like to call the meeting to order at just after 2 o'clock and welcome everyone. As usual, we will begin the meeting with a brief moment of reflection. Thank you.
Statement by our local fire chief today on September 11th. We should all be.
That would be fine. Of course, this is September 11th, and I think we're all aware of what took place back in 2001, and it's one of those events that one of the few that I will remember where I was, what I was doing. I'm sure for the rest of my life. That goes right along with the JFK assassination for me. Go ahead, Stuart. Do you have the?
Yeah.
You don't have. Okay. Yes, our fire chief Courtney Allen did send out a memo, certainly to all council and likely staff, reminding us of this eventful day, this memorable day, and to ask us to never forget about the importance of our first responders, whether they be fire, paramedics, police, what have you, military. We need them. We rely on them. We depend on them, and we must always support them. Okay, any disclosure of pecuniary interest around the table? If not, if something should arise during the meeting, just advise us of that. And everyone knows by now that we are very open to public participation. And I have a little preamble here that I'll read. Forest members of the public are encouraged to provide the committee with their comments and or questions. Presentations must be pre-arranged with legislative services before the agenda is released. Members of the public who wish to make a deputation about a specific agenda item at the meeting must register in advance with legislative services by 4 p.m. The day before the meeting, in this case, September 10th, by contacting our deputy clerk at meaford.ca or 519-538-1060, extension 1110. Presentations are limited to 10 minutes and deputations are limited to 5 minutes. And it doesn't look as if we have any presentations or deputations, so we will very soon just jump into our meeting agenda. But before we do, I want to introduce Sue Brown, and Sue is going to take our minutes today. This is for our committee her first visit. Welcome, Sue. Cassandra Sesko, who's going to talk to us in a few minutes about a number of things she's looking after. Cassandra is our project manager for facilities. Welcome, Cassandra. And back in the cheap seats there, and she is more than welcome to move up to a more prominent position if she wishes, is Sarah Mahan. And Sarah has 2 or 3 positions, or at least the last I was aware of. And I'm not, did you want to run them by us, Sarah? I'm not sure just what all your,
There are multiple, excuse me.
yeah.
Thank you, and through you. There are multiple responsibilities under my belt right now. So I'm just kind of ensuring that I'm here to support and stand with the committees that I've been given. So I don't want to commit to any necessarily, because some more may land on my plate. So, and I'm quite happy about that.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Sarah, and welcome back. I hope your health has improved. Just a reminder, when you do choose to speak, to push the mic and then push it off again. Okay, the first agenda item, 5A, has to do with the approval of the minutes from our last meeting a couple of months ago, 10th of July. Recommendation is that the minutes of the July 10th, 2024 meeting of the Accessibility Advisory Committee be approved as presented. So could I have someone move the acceptance of the minutes? Don't be shy. Okay, moved by Wendy Best, and seconded by Mary Solomon. Thank you so much. I'm hoping, I'm quite sure everyone has had a chance to look at the minutes. Is there any questions, comments about the minutes? Okay, if that is the case, can I have your vote? All those in approval of accepting the minutes? Thank you. That's carried. And was there any business arriving from the minutes? Anything anybody wants to touch on? Okay. Right now, the next item 6, is a very important item. In the past, I know Mary's very aware of this, but we have had a site plan review subcommittee. 2 members of our accessibility committee have been on that, and we're looking for 2 members again this time. Basically, what those committee members do are take a look at projects, construction projects pertaining to municipal facilities. And in the past, I know you ladies did a very good job. You picked up a lot of things that maybe the engineers didn't just quite see. So I'm not sure how we want to do this. Sue, I'll ask you, do we want volunteers or do we want nominations? Or I'm certainly open for anyone who wants to volunteer to be on this committee. I'm not sure how often it met, Mary. Would it be?
We didn't really formally meet unless there was a plan, or we've done walking tours of some of the projects. So they would just, if we had 3 a year, that would be, I would think the greatest number. Often it's 1. 1 year, we saw a lot of plans 1 year, but I don't think it was more than 3 or 4 times, and they're just called as needed. So there isn't a meeting every month or anything.
No. Okay, thanks, Mary. Okay, is anyone interested? Heather?
I had a question. You mentioned construction projects. Is this by the municipality? This, or is this
Yeah,
outside
yes,
contractors
Heather,
that come
just
in?
pertaining to municipal buildings or properties.
Okay, projects that our own people would be taking part in.
Yes, for our facilities, such as well, for instance, the ramp at the Market Square. Now, that's an outside project, but that was on municipal property, and I believe that's
Yeah,
one that.
yeah, I don't think it's always that it's our actual municipal employees doing it. They
No.
may have hired a firm to do it, but we still see those plans. We still give direction. We still go and have a look. Like the ramp, I think the biggest thing with the ramp down at going into the Market Square was the parking. And wayfaring, how we would get around and that. So that was a really interesting day to do that. But yeah, it's anything to do with the municipality, but it's a municipal project, even though it might be done by another company.
Yeah, things like washrooms, doors to washrooms, that type of thing. Yeah. So, Sherman?
For transportation to these areas, is the mobility van available to take us, like with the wheelchairs? I just can't head over towards Owen Sound and
Yeah, it's a good question and a good point. I don't see why we couldn't endeavor to supply transportation. Sherman, Sarah, can you help me with that?
Thank you. Yes, absolutely. That it would be something that we would sit and we'd coordinate through this meeting, the construction projects that we do have on plate. And then look for those who want to come and join us and then make those arrangements to make sure that Meaford Moves is helping to move Meaford.
yeah,
So none of these meetings ever happen after 3 o'clock and never on Mondays? Or on Mondays?
Again, it would be something that we would take a look at for, this would be an extenuating circumstance. We'd have to look at all the logistics piece from that, but it's not something that we couldn't do.
Thanks, Sarah. Okay, I'm still waiting for volunteers.
Might be a couple here.
Okay, that's great. Stuart and yeah, that's no, that's good. Anyone else like to volunteer? Or are we good? Are we good?
For you, I could be a backup or something, but I don't feel I'm as qualified as those guys. Like, they're gonna see things that I don't see, you know?
I think it'd be reasonable to have a relief person if necessary. And if Wendy wanted to do that, if I put her name forward, or Mary,
Yeah, I think any of us would go if somebody couldn't go. I
yeah,
think it kind of made one good point, though, that it might be nice if maybe we made the committee 3 if we wanted someone who was able, because I think of some of the places we had to look, they weren't already accessible. So to like get around a curb or to go up a pathway, maybe to say, yeah, so it might, I don't think we were stuck that it had to be 2. It just happened to be, so.
okay, well, we have a recommendation. And I'm hearing that these 2 gentlemen would be willing to take the role on, and I'm also hearing, I think, that if one or the other could not make a visit, Wendy or Mary could maybe pinch hit But in the meantime, yeah, we'll go back to the recommendation. And I'll read it that the Accessibility Advisory Committee approved the following two members for appointment to the Site Plan Review Subcommittee for the term expiring November 14th, 2026. And I would be Stu Hiltz and Sherman Wood. Any further discussion? All those in favor of this appointment? Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, moved by Mary Solomon and seconded by Heather Murray. Thanks, I'm sorry. Okay, and that's okay, gentlemen. I don't, you're gonna find out in a couple of minutes just what we have in store for you. Because we'll go to number 7 on the agenda. And our special guest, Cassandra, is going to go through this. Do we have something up or just how can we do that? I have it on my computer, but I didn't know. Thanks, Bill. You go ahead whenever you're ready, Cassandra. Yeah, that's a good start.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, just going to start off by saying thank you for having me here. I'm going to go over some of our facilities and parks projects that we have been in capital works with for this year, 2024. So making Meaford accessible as part of the multi-year accessibility plan for 2023 to 2026. The focus is on increasing accessibility in the categories of transportation, public spaces, and customer service. Our specific improvements and updates are surrounding upgrades at memorial parks, the administration buildings, and parks and playgrounds. So some of our projects this year include at the arena, we had some updated emergency lighting that was installed and the automatic door openers at 3 of our doors in the facility. The administration office upgrades at the front desk at 21 Trowbridge. We got a new service counter for the public, and we'll be getting new front doors estimated for the end of this month. Washroom renovations include Meaford Museum, Council Chambers, Memorial Park, and the Harbor House. Peter Cameron Park has some equipment that we are going to be replacing. And 15 Trowbridge includes the external railing replacement and picnic table replacement program throughout the entire municipality. At the arena, so the automatic door openers included the one entering into the arena, one entering into the dance hall, and one entering into what they call the meeting room just off to the side. This was installed back in probably about 2 months ago. We have the new compliant emergency and exit lighting at the arena. The entire arena is now compliant when it comes to proper egress. The administration office at 21 Trowbridge, the front doors, yes, those will be replaced at the end of this month, fingers crossed. And the project is intended to improve the security, functionality, and accessibility of what is currently there at that building. Our service counters at 21 Trowbridge, they were outdated and non-compliant, so they were revamped back in May to be fully compliant and give a fresh look to our administration building. Washroom renovations throughout the municipality included the council chambers washroom here. We have power door openers, new sinks. We adjusted some of the heights of certain features such as the toilet paper and paper towel holders. Lowering of mirrors, including the new compliant angled mirrors, new compliant grab bars, and yeah, having the emergency button inside the washroom as well. So these included council chambers washroom, one at Memorial Beach Park, and the Meaford Museum. Peter Cameron Park, we are expected to get new swing sets, a mini sports pad with a basketball net, and new compliant soft surfacing. The current surfacing there is pea gravel, which is a non-compliant material for parks and playgrounds. So we will be replacing it with the engineered wood fibers, which will match what many of our other parks receive as ground material. 15 Trowbridge external works. So this project included some concrete work that was on the exterior of the building, window replacements, and in the photo here, you can see we have the railing and stairs. We're replacing the railing to have something that is compliant with the concrete that already exists there, and having new handrails, or in the addition of handrails that do not currently exist on those stairs. And lastly, our picnic table replacement program. This was started in 2023 with the intention of replacing all of our picnic tables at Memorial Park with ones that need less maintenance. So they're fully metal, and including more accessible picnic tables that have the extension on the end so that a wheelchair can fit underneath it.
Okay, thanks very much, Cassandra. I'm guessing there may be a few questions for you, so can we go back, start back at the beginning, the Meaford and St. Vincent Community Center? Can we
Absolutely.
go back to that slide? And Mary, you go ahead.
Yeah, I just have one question. When it's the emergency exit lighting, which is great. But I was wondering, have we signed those two doors coming out onto the laneway out of the community center? Because they look like they're exit doors, but if a wheelchair ever went out there, that's the end of them. Like it's drops down. And I know we've talked about that in these meetings before. They need to be marked as not accessible. Because if you were emergency emptying the building, that's okay, but you know, it still puts in somebody's mind, there's some reason that we can't go out that door. And it's quite a drop down.
Sorry, I'm trying to envision which door
Okay,
this
so
one
if
is.
you're coming into the big community center room,
Yes.
okay, so if you're inside, look to your left, there's a door here, and then there's a door up near the front. And unless something's changed a lot, those were never accessible, but they are an exit. If someone suddenly got caught in there. So I just think when they are accessible, that's fine. But until then, we need to mark that they are not, because people even now go out thinking it's going to be, that are walking and they're coming down those steps. So I just thought when we're doing emergency lighting and lighting those areas, then maybe we need to signage those areas for now.
Yes, absolutely. That's something that we can definitely look into.
Thanks, Mary. It's a good point. Anything else concerning the community center? Yeah, if not, I do have a question, Cassandra. The running man symbols for exits. I guess haven't been around for a long time over the years, and kind of interesting. I think I really started thinking about this back when September 11th happened, 23 years ago. Started when I went into a public building. First thing I started looking for was an exit sign. Never had to use one, thank goodness, but being old school, I'm starting to adjust to the running man and the arrow sign, but I still look for the written word. So are we doing away with the EXIT signs completely and completely replacing them with the running man signs, or do we have both, or can you help me out there?
Yeah, for sure. So in some of our facilities, we do have the exit, like the red exit sign that exists. That is now considered non-compliant. So when we are replacing them, we are replacing them with LED fixtures and the green running man exit signs. My understanding is the intention on that is, if there's an individual that might not speak English or might not be able to read, it's sort of a universal sign. Like, at an airport, you get all kinds of people from all walks of life that will be able to recognize that as being the egress.
I can see the advantage of it. I just wonder if maybe I'm the only old person who looks at this green and white sign and says, what the heck's that all about? Mary?
I just wonder, it's kind of a nice opportunity for education, isn't it? Like that could be a little campaign out in the community, because I doubt you're the only person that isn't recognizing that, and just to say, oh, have you noticed the exit's gone away? Well, it hasn't here, I just think it's a really good opportunity for education. And maybe even something in the inside for the first little while in some of the buildings that explain it.
Thanks. Anything more? Yeah, Wendy.
The only thing I find confusing about those running man is it makes it look like it's an emergency exit only because the guy's running. And, I get that it's the standard, but I'd still like to see the word in English exit. But I guess the standard is the standard.
Thank you. I'm glad I'm not the only one who who wondered about that. Okay, well, go on to the admin office, and anyone who has been in the admin office, certainly the service counter is I think much more accessible. Finding any questions about anything there?
Not given to improving sidewalk access or road access, so that a wheelchair doesn't have over great big cracks.
Cassandra, can you comment on that, please?
Yes, so one of the roads projects in the coming years is to do a full reconstruction of Trowbridge Street that will be addressing some of those issues, including the sidewalk.
Good point. Yeah, and hopefully, as I understand it, the engineering is being done this year, and we expect quite a bit of construction on that street next year. That's going to be a big job. But, we've heard that some of the sewer pipes under that road go back to 1905, I think I have heard. So they're likely due for some updating. Washroom renovation is here in the in this building, and the museum are they all completed yet, Cassandra? Or are they still, some of them still works in progress or?
Most of them are completed. The Memorial Park Beach has a few little touches that need to be completed. Nothing that will impact the public, just based on the usability down there right now is a lot higher
Mhm.
traffic volume than in the cooler months. So just because of the time constraint, there are just a few things that need to be touched up at each of those facilities. Over here and at the museum, it's just boxing in that under part where the plumbing is, just to make it have an improved visual, but everything that is there right now is safe and functional to use.
Yeah, I know the Memorial Park washrooms are busy. And Peter Cameron Park, we've been promising to do something out there now for 2 or 3 years, and we've had other duties out there, road and ditches and so on related. So have they, are we finished out there, or have we started, or where are we at? It's not a big park, but it's a neat little area.
Yeah, it's very well used out there. Yeah. So yeah, it's Bayshore Road that's being reconstructed. The holdup with this project is there needed to be some additional drainage work done in that area, in order for us to go ahead with this. There were some swales that were added into Peter Cameron Park, fairly recently. So we should be good to construct or start replacing some of the equipment there this fall or into the spring. It should be completed.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I think the Bayshore Road is nearing completion. I'm not sure. I know there were some hydro poles that needed to be moved there. I don't know if they got done or not. But anyway, I know that's not really your department. And the other thing is the little side street east of Peter Cameron Park, or I say is east. Is it Princess Street? Does that sound right? Maybe. That's just sounds the same as Princess Street, doesn't it? We have, and here again, Cassandra, I know this is kind of aside from your area, but we have had drainage problems there, and actually had water come over the road and get down onto a couple of properties the other side of the road. Now, I don't know if Peter Cameron Park has been affected or not. It's so I just wondered if you had any heard of any collaboration as far as, checking on that drainage problem, what's going on there, and the work at the park. It seems to me that we maybe should be looking at solving the drainage problem first, not trying to delay the rebuild of the park, but the two should coincide, preferably. I don't know, would maybe you're not too far away from Joel, our other project manager. Maybe you could check with them sometime about that. And yes, yeah.
Yeah. My understanding is the drainage issues were addressed in the construction project for Bayshore Road, and that it is rectified now at this time.
Okay. Okay. I hope that has been done. I've been down the Bayshore Road a couple of times, but not the little side street. So, okay. Sorry to, Mary.
Yeah, I just want to ask about the playground equipment. So it's just the swing set that's going to be replaced?
Yes, so the image that you see here, this one, last year, we replaced the base material. This base material is the pea gravel that was replaced with the engineered wood fiber. On the other side behind here, there are some non-compliant swing sets and base material. So we're going to replace them with compliant swing sets and the compliant base material. Then on the further side, you can kind of see, yeah, you can see it better actually in this photo here, is the old teeter totters that have the tire that's in the ground. That's now a non-compliant piece of playground equipment. And I guess a number of years ago when they did the Public Information Center to gather feedback from the public, they had noticed that this basketball court was very close to the road, which was a concern for children playing in that area, vehicles driving over there. So it will be, this concrete pad will be moved over in that area and these teeter totters will be removed.
And the entrance to the pad will be nice and.
It will be level,
Sorry,
yes.
that sometimes gets forgotten. So, thank you.
Okay. And 15 Trowbridge Street, the former post office, former library, and now the center for our planning department and IT. That ramp that's there, Cassandra, is it up to regulations? Is it? Yeah, it's a long ramp, but is it still too steep?
Yes, it is. The ramp itself and the stairs beside it, they're not compliant. Yeah, they need to have a shorter run and have a break in the middle of it. We didn't go ahead with the full replacement until the facility's rationale takes place to determine what the future of some of these facilities is going to happen.
Okay, thanks. I like the work that's been done on the front steps, the ones that go out on the Trowbridge. It looks much better, much more presentable, and much more waterproof than what the old ones were. The picnic tables, have they all been installed, or are we still waiting for delivery, or?
So we phased this project in over a couple years. We had 40 from last year, 40 from this year that have already been purchased and received. And I believe we have 2 more years to replace all of the picnic tables at Memorial Park. Then with that surplus of the old picnic tables, we will be dispersing those to other parks within the municipality and removing ones that have completely reached their end of life or don't function as they should anymore.
Good. Now, these accessible ones where a wheelchair can kind of slide in under the end. In the picture, it shows they're on a nice level concrete pad. Will that be the situation down at Memorial Park? I am assuming getting in on a pad is a lot easier than just on the grass.
Yeah, so they've been prioritized at Memorial Park based on, if there is somebody with accessibility needs, the sites that are most suitable for those is where those are. They can be adjusted if, somebody that needs to have a wheelchair accessible picnic table, that park staff will be able to move it to another location for them. A lot of them have been put under the pavilion down at Memorial Park that has a concrete pad that's level.
Okay, thank you. Anything further, Wendy?
Yeah, I was just camping down at Memorial Park last week or this past week, and I asked about the accessible tables. And the woman at the front desk just knew about the 3 in the beach area, the pavilion. 2 were under the pavilion, 1 was on the grass beside, but it looked fairly level and easy to access, so that was great. I'm just hoping maybe we could update our website component that talks about the features of Memorial Park to mention that we have these, because it's fantastic. So like you're saying, so we know there's 3 in the beach area. And if we tell people that maybe want to camp there, hey, you can get an accessible table. I think we need to brag about that. May bring us some additional campers who maybe thought they, it was too difficult to camp, and now they can.
Yeah, good suggestion, thanks, Wendy. Yes, yes.
Individually, these are the sorts of things I saw myself looking at when I volunteered for the site plan review subcommittee. But these have all been completed, of course, so at what point do we find out about new projects that we might be asked to look at on that committee? Or are they different from this type of work?
These would be certainly similar to what you may be invited to look at.
Is there a similar plan for what's gonna happen in 25?
Well, we haven't got into our 2025 budget deliberation yet, so I'm not sure what's coming down as far as recreation is concerned. But Cassandra, you're pretty certain the vast majority of these 2024 projects are either finished or well along the way. So, but yeah, I think these would be an example of what you might be taking a look at. Like it might not be a whole new building that it may or may not happen in the near future. So yeah, these would, but even even for like the washroom renovations, Cassandra, help me. I mean, we must have had blueprints, like plans prior to go to tender and so on and so forth. And
So the washroom renovations, we had that in our internal tradesperson staff completed the work. We have drawings for the grab bars that will be installed. We haven't had them fully installed yet because we're still waiting on some additional engineering confirmation that we've received. But yeah, we do have those available.
okay. Anything from Heather? Go ahead.
This is maybe not totally related, but I'm curious. The swings, the railings, the picnic tables, things that are non-compliant, but still usable to some people. Do we have a committee that puts them someplace? Do they go to landfill? What happens to the old equipment that is non-compliant, but still usable? And the only reason I ask that is when I was in purchasing in healthcare, we would have equipment that under the medical umbrella was not compliant, but totally usable for someone in their home or whatever. But I was not allowed to give that information out because of the responsibility and liability. So I don't know, is that an issue with some of these things? Do you have to just scrap them?
We have utilized gov deals to sell certain items, old office equipment that, we just don't use anymore or isn't suitable for our needs. But then help offset by generating a little bit of revenue.
Thank you.
Good. Okay. Well, if there's nothing more on item 7A. Thanks again, Cassandra, for helping us out with that, and we'll maybe hear from you again, but that's good. You're welcome. You're welcome to stay with us if you have a chance. I'm not sure, maybe 7B, and that involves Sarah. Maybe Sarah might be mentioning something of interest for us, but accessibility legislation update. Now, does that have to do with the AODA by any chance, Sarah?
Thank you.
you
Yes,
go- you go
yes, it
ahead.
does. I think we're all, especially for this committee, very aware that the government, that the federal government did put a mandate back in 2020 that all businesses in Ontario, well, across the provinces, would be responsible for ensuring accessibility standards by 2025. So that is a reminder that we wanted to just talk about that piece and about the fact that businesses and us municipalities, we have until 2025 to become compliant. And they will be doing major rollouts for compliance. And I think that's something that maybe we can structure a little bit more here when we talk about it. I can provide some more timelines about what that may look like. And we can talk about that to even, ensure compliance from our perspective, from the municipal perspective. But that we're also educating our community around those expectations, because I do believe, just when you talk to entrepreneurs, to businesses, believe it or not, 5 years snuck up on a lot of people. Although it was given lots of opportunity to become compliant within those 5 years, everybody took, not everybody, but a lot of folks did take the perspective of, oh, I've got a couple more years. I've got a couple more years. Well, we're moving into that year. So we will be a big proponent of making sure that we educate ourselves, educate the community, and make sure that we're compliant. So it's just more putting it out there so that it's on everybody's radar that the due date is coming.
Which is 3.5 months. How do we plan to get all businesses in the community accessible by that point?
Well, and just to talk on that point, it comes down to education. It isn't necessarily our responsibility to ensure that each business is compliant. That will be up to the ministry to ensure that they are doing their piece. I think what our key piece around this table is around the education and where we're seeing non-compliance, and maybe able to give a heads up, because you're right, that date is just 3 months away, and we should have a plan that we want to work to help educate the community.
My concern has always been the downtown. Since my batteries die if I go much further than that. But especially the restaurants downtown.
Mhm.
If you don't like whiskey, the only place I could get into is the Kitties, which requires me to cross a long gravel parking lot. And in the winter, that's almost impossible.
Mhm. Mhm.
Another popular place, the Leaky, is not accessible. And the kitchen, which is accessible, no longer serves indoor meals. So to me, our downtown is a disaster for someone in a wheelchair. And we should be developing a program to work with the several outlets downtown of the third field. And perhaps a few other people. To support them and get them accessible. And there are all kinds of questions we could be asking. You know, like how much does it cost to chip away the front step and replace it with rail? Does that really cost $5,000? And
Yeah.
subsidize any of this? But I don't want to be here after 3 years on this committee and just still talking about it. I want to see something happen.
Good, thanks, Stu. I agree completely. Mary?
Yeah, and I'd like to say, I think this committee has done a lot in the past, but there is, I hate to say it, there still is a lot of resistance. I mean, we had the stopgap program, so we could ramp a lot of those places, and we had very little uptake. And, you know, so I think that education piece is really important. I think it's really important that we get it right, because still there seems to be a big difference in the AODA on public versus private. And so, you know, I think we're going to educate, and we're saying, hey, we got a municipality that's pushing ahead, which they are, then we need you guys to come on board. And I agree with Stu, it's really discouraging. I've been on the committee for a long time, but I would say where we were 10 years ago, we are better, but that private sector is still really far behind. But then we have a school that was built a year ago that also is not, you know, will not be compliant in 2025. So, you know, again, it's an attitudinal thing that we really have to go for. And, but I agree. I think the more incentives we can give people to change, the better. But their biggest incentive is the disabled bring a lot of money, and they're an economic benefit. So the more accessible we are, the better it is for every town, especially when it's full of seniors.
And
Heather?
The entrance to the restaurant to the sidewalk, that is the business's responsibility or the municipality's responsibility? Like the sidewalk's not business.
No, I think Stu's talking about the step from the sidewalk into the restaurant.
So that's definitely a business
Yeah,
responsibility.
yeah, that's, to me, that's private, that's their responsibility. Sarah, you can maybe help me with this one, and I maybe run this by you before, but we have had a number of businesses, especially downtown, businesses coming to the municipality, asking about our community grants, loans, so on and so forth. And through the community improvement plan. And I'm wondering if there's any way before, say a restaurant or somebody who owns a building wants to, you know, any business, whether it's a restaurant or a shoe store or an antique shop or whatever, and they come to us and say, hey, we'd like to apply for a grant for new windows and a new door, so on and so forth. Is there any way the municipality could say, okay, one of the conditions is that your entranceway is accessible? Now, again, we've got the municipality and we've got private enterprise, so can you help me on that one?
Well, I'm not 100% sure on that piece necessarily. I can say that it's not something that, you know, we could build in. If you do this, we can give you this, right? That we can't quite do. But I think maybe something I can explore with our economic development group is, as the applications, as knowledge is coming in with the businesses, that becomes part of the packaging, is the AODA piece of that. And where Meaford is, where the municipality is with our buildings and our expectations. So it becomes, again, an educational piece that this is the expectation. We can't dictate to private business but that's where legislation comes in.
Mary?
I was gonna say that we were a number of years ago doing something like that, in that when people applied, when commercial places applied for building permits, they were supposed to be getting that information, like right away. Have you thought about accessibility? Have you thought about your entrances? Have you thought about your washrooms? Just because people just don't remember, so.
And in all honesty, that very well could be happening. And I will take that away and do my due diligence on that. Again, just new to this realm and into the municipal world itself. So I have a lot of learning to do on that end, but this is perfect opportunity for me to be able to take that away, and then I can report back at our next meeting and have something a little more with substance.
Thanks, Sarah. Randy?
I think that information needs to go to the building owners, because the business owners are not necessarily and are often not the building owners. And so you can't expect a business to make those kind of changes to a building that they don't even own.
Good point. And maybe, well, information should go to the contractors too, the builders themselves, that maybe that's one of the questions they could put on their list of, have you thought about an accessible entrance? And since we're getting all kinds of demand for that, have you got that on your agenda? Heather? Go ahead.
Whose responsibility is it to send out this information and this education? Is that your people?
Again, I have to do just a little bit of background on that because I don't have that piece of knowledge. And again, it may be something that is already there and already being done. I just can't comment on it because I honestly don't know. And I want to be able to come back to all of you with the right information and know that that's accurate. So my commitment to you is to make sure that I have all of those pieces together for our next meeting so I can report accordingly.
Thanks for that. Yes, go ahead, Wendy.
So this 2025 deadline, January 1st, are we saying that every single municipal facility is supposed to be AODA compliant? Like the pool, the arena, every building, every playground?
There are phased in approaches to this. Again, my lack of municipal, the piece on the municipal side, I have to dig into that a little bit more to understand what that phased in approach looks like. I think we know, there's always those hard deadlines, and that's to make sure that people are actually doing something. But then knowing that they can't just shut the door the next day, they're going to have to phase portions of this in. But yeah.
And you're right, but a lot of that was supposed to have already happened. So the last time I talked to them down at the AODA about the school, they basically told me it's a moving target. So I think they will come down hard on some things, other things they'll ask you about. But still at this point, it's not the, I don't think it's got a whole lot of strength behind it, the AODA right now. So because you're right, but we've had over 25 years. That's when it started. So to get this in check, and you're right, nobody thought about it until the last 5 years. So that's what they told me was happening. But I think for some things, especially municipalities, I think they will start looking. If you're trying, they're probably not going to be, as much after you. But if you've never done anything, or if there's no reasons to not be compliant, I think they will come down hard.
Reading about the OTA and all that sort of, no distinction behind this, but my understanding from reading it is that BCM slowly is supposed to have been going on for 25 years. And the hard deadline was this January 1st. Now that we've got there and they failed, maybe Meaford hasn't failed, but eventually they failed. We've got to treat it as if we can charge it, but then we'll get anywhere.
Well, it is unfortunate. I was recently at the Association for Municipalities of Ontario conference and attended a community and well-being seminar, and certainly the Accessibility for Ontarians with Disability Act came up, and it was quite evident around the room that a number of municipalities are not ready for this and will not be ready. And nobody gave any specific reason for that. It's just that they weren't prepared. I like to think our municipality has done a good job in coming forward. Not a perfect job, but a reasonably good job, and I'm proud of that. I think of having been on the Grace Harbor Conservation Authority board for a number of years. I think of the building that they have. And the problems they're having with making it accessible. It's I know they have a plan, they're working on it, but there are a lot of challenges out there, especially, buildings that were built 50, 75, 100 years ago. That wasn't a priority back then, unfortunately. And a great number of those buildings are still in use. Now, the Grace Harbor one isn't that old, but it is close to 50 years old. So, and it was quite an interesting building at the time, but it's given a lot of problems since. Sarah?
I just thought I would, this was a perfect segue, and so I thought I'd just jump in. I can say, from my year and a half of being here, one of the things that I'm very proud of when I did my review was our AODA policy and where we're at, what our mandate is. And one thing I'm thinking is maybe at one of our upcoming meetings, I could have the author of our and driver of our AODA come in and just do a brief presentation to just kind of give an overview as to where we're at from a municipality perspective, because I am very proud. I've been doing HR for 27 years, and I can say, coming into this municipality, it was very refreshing that was at the forefront of staff's mind when I came in. So I would love to have the staff that have put all the work to it come and do a little presentation to just to give a little overview as to where we're at, and maybe even put some minds at ease too.
Go ahead, Mary.
Yeah, and just to add to that, Sarah, because you're new, but the one thing I was really, really impressed with that group did was they made sure that accessibility was written into their policies. And I remember in purchasing, I think it was Brady, I mean, there were lines down there so that every time they did something, they thought about it and it was written in there. Did you think about? And I thought that was brilliant because, there are some things you just forget about doing it. And those policies and those procedures were actually written and being used that way. And I thought that was a brilliant way of keeping it on top of everyone's mind here in the municipality.
Yeah, I just say that in spite of all the complaining you'll hear me do, I do think Meaford has done a wonderful job and we can be proud of what we've accomplished. Doesn't mean we should sit on our laurels.
I found it rather interesting that our Premier, Mr. Ford, has a number of times mentioned how accessible your local corner store will be for buying beer and wine, and I'm not sure just what interpretation of accessible he was using under those circumstances. I shouldn't point fingers, but I'm not sure the province has really driven this home as strongly as what they could have. I know there certainly hasn't been any funding coming to help municipalities, or very, very, very little. And I don't think we've ever been able to get a sizable grant. So all the more credit to our taxpayers for taking their interest in this. Okay, do you have anything more, Sarah, about that? Okay, well, I think we've had pretty good conversation about accessibility, and we're all very much aware that, yes, there have been some improvements, but yes, there is still a long way to go. Committee inquiries, and this is kind of we've got some time if anybody wants to ask. Or I'll start with Stu, if that's all right with you, Mary. Right.
My question is about the local transit van that we got here today. There are a couple of things about it that I'd like to see improved. One is the Monday service. I have no idea why they put it down on Monday. I haven't been able to find that out, but it's certainly scheduling things over the week when you have to move one appointment and move another to fit things in. Makes it difficult. The other question I have, and maybe some of you would not understand this concept, but vehicles that are wheelchair accessible generally are made with a kneeling function, which means that their rear suspension drops 3 or 4 inches, which helps make the ramp in the vehicle easier to get up. With the transit van, if the kneeling function is not working, as it has not been since last January, then I can't just ride into it. Either Larry has to give me a push, which he doesn't like doing, given how heavy I am, or he parks down on the street and lowers his ramp onto my driveway, and there's enough of a slight slope there that I can get up into the van, but it's blocking the entire street in the meantime. And to me, there's no excuse for whoever is in charge of maintenance not fixing the kneeling function on the van. So I'd like to request that this committee consider putting in a request to please fix the kneeling function on the transit van.
It seems like a reasonable request to me. Sarah, can you help us on that?
I will take that away and I will do some due diligence, and then I'll come back with a response. I will see what I can do. Thank you.
Thanks, Stu. Thanks, Sarah. Mary, did you have an inquiry or a comment or?
A plug? Can I do a plug?
Well, yeah.
I like round
Sounds
tables.
good.
Anyway, just because we were talking about OADA, I just want to let the members here know that on Monday at the library, we Breaking Down Barriers is doing volunteer training, and or for anyone, it's just community training. So it's at 10:30, 10:15 we'll gather. Maureen Smithers is going to be doing the presentation, and it's looking at all sorts of different disabilities and, how we communicate with people exactly. How do we approach people? How do we interact? So we I really thought that was important, so that we're all doing great customer service. And so that will be on Monday. And then the other thing I just want to plug is that people should book off November 28th, the Thursday afternoon, because we are having a Spirit of Inclusion concert at Meaford Hall, and we're honoring your favorite person, Andrew Golly. And we have performers who have diverse abilities. And it'll be an 1.5-hour relaxed performance, and it's free, but tickets, you'll need a ticket just to control the crowds. So yeah. Oh, it's 1 to 2:30. Yeah. And Yeah, and the training is free too. And the other thing with the training on Monday is we wanted to do a little bit on cultural competency for inclusion. And so we're giving out a book that was written by two grade 12 students at St. Mary's who interviewed newcomers. And and the book is really good. It's all their stories. And I was really impressed that these two high school students did this. So we'll be, everyone who comes on Monday, we'll be giving them one of those books. So we start to think about those of different cultures, because certainly in the last 5 years, Meaford has really changed and we have a lot of people of different cultures. So, and the last thing I'll just say is next week is Welcoming Week, which is welcoming newcomers to our area. And if anybody wants the big hello poster, or hello flag, I still have it, and you're welcome to use it if you want.
Okay, thanks
Sorry,
very much,
that's it.
Mary. Yeah, that's, I'm hoping to get to that Monday morning, event at the library. That's in the boardroom, I assume, is it, or what I call it?
It's in the Friends, yeah, the Friends room.
Yeah.
If not, I'll come and give you a private lecture. Homework.
Thank you, thank you. Yes, Sherman.
One interest, and that's beautiful Joe Park. And I've heard that there's supposedly a bridge being fundraised to put in, so wheelchairs can't get into that park, no how.
No.
I can go in if I slide all the way down the gravel. But I'd like to, my granddaughters love that park when they come to visit. So I sit in the car with my wife and the granddaughters tour the park. And I'm just wondering what the municipality has to do with helping to get that bridge installed so that people can get across instead of going down that steep hill.
Yeah, well, it's a good question. The Friends of Beautiful Joe have been busily fundraising and I think doing quite well. I think the last I heard they had something like $250,000 raised towards that bridge, and I'm not sure what the final figure will be for it, but the municipality certainly been very aware of the situation and very supportive of the Friends' efforts, and we have helped somewhat financially, but it's it's one of the million things on our list, I guess. Is that fair, Mary?
Yeah, just I feel like the old person here that I've, yeah, the plans for that started in 2011. And the municipality, I think, has been involved because of the parks plans and everything. But the other reason, other than accessibility, which is so important, it had to do with tourism because the tour buses can't get down there.
Yes.
So they wanted the bridge. But the other thing is there are no washrooms in Beautiful Joe Park. They put in the accessible porta potty, but that always seems like something funny to me because they're never accessible, but the other idea was that eventually the park on the other side, the Legion Park, it would be easy, not maybe easy, but easier to put washrooms on that side because there's all the infrastructure for doing it. So the bridge then would allow not having to do anything at Beautiful Joe washroom wise, because it's almost impossible because you have to pump everything up. But the bridge is for accessibility in more ways than just like physical accessibility. It would allow to have washrooms, it would allow tourism, so yeah. And so Beautiful Joe, the Friends of Beautiful Joe have done a great job in you know, really pushing it, and I thought they were like 78,000. I don't know. They've really raised a lot so far, so.
The municipality does have a plan for Legion Park, as well as a number of other parks we have plans for. We're planning on working somewhat with the developer of the Legion condominiums on the other side of the street where the Legion was, basically one time. And that every 3 or 4 months, we get indications that something is going to get rolling there. And that would be another major development for us. They have, and I believe I'm correct in saying the developer there has shown some interest in contributing to the development of Legion Park. But certainly with the plans, yeah, and as Mary mentioned about the washrooms, it's not just, if I remember the terrain correctly, it's not just the bridge itself, it's on the other side, the Legion side, it's awkward there, it's lower, it's an embankment, and there has to be not just the bridge, but the approach to the bridge has to be dealt with too. So it's a little more involved than certainly the intention is to get a walking bridge across the river. It's quite a length when you consider putting in like abutments at each end. It's quite a width, and I'm excuse me. I know I've questioned the Beautiful Joe folks a couple of times. Are you sure you got enough length in this bridge that you have priced? And they seem to be content, but I'm as I say, it's not just the bridge itself, it's what's at each end of the bridge. Not so bad on the side where the old house is still standing, but on the Legion Park side, it's a little more challenging. But no, there's no doubt about it. It's a beautiful area, beautiful park, and we've had a number of people comment about the access for vehicles, and I know, again, back in the old days when with standard transmissions, it was quite a challenge to get out of that park. But I'll follow up on that. I'll check with Beautiful Joe people and with the municipal roads people and see if there's anything new concerning that.
No, that's all we can do, so.
Yeah, okay, well,
It'd
it'd be great. It'd be great if we could make getting in and out of there much easier. Anything further as far as inquiries? Now, I have another message to read under number 9 of the agenda, communications, and of course, communications between our residents and the municipality are number 1 priority, or at least one of the number ones. Committee will consider correspondence received by members of the public during each meeting to share our comments, thoughts, or concerns with members of the committee. The public can send an email to accessibility@meaford.ca. When emails are received to this email address, they will be compiled into a correspondence list, which is then distributed to committee members prior to the meeting. The cover sheet of this list will be included on each meeting agenda. The contents of the correspondence list are not included on the public agenda to protect the privacy and personal information of those residents who choose to send in their thoughts and comments. Okay, now we have a date for our next meeting, November 13th. As of this moment, sound reasonable, and I have to add that our committee member Truda Howard, we're expecting Truda to join us in the committee in the not too distant future. We certainly hope that works out all right. Anything further? Thank you so much for joining us today. And thanks to Sarah and Sue. Sue, did you get all the names you needed for the minutes? Okay, that's good. And on that note, at 3:20 PM, I will call for the adjournment of this meeting. So adjourn. Thanks again.